Hey, are you guys losing crankbait fish? I was too, but I've come up with a technique that I want to share with you. We'll break it down right after this. I want to show you a technique that I've been using not only to hook up with more crankbait fish, but to get them to the boat as well. What I need to do is I need to break this down for you from bite to boat. Now I don't really have a name or anything for this method. I guess you could call it tip, stop, turn, and that's what we'll call it in this video just because it breaks down the 3 steps that I use to get these bass to the boat. Let's start with the equipment first. It's best to have a crankbait specific rod, and I have a Bass Pro Carbon Light 2.0. It is a medium power, moderate action rod. You're going to have a much better hookup ratio with a moderate action versus a fast action. A fast action rod will respond a lot quicker when the fish bites, and it will pull that bait completely away from them. So that's where a moderate action comes in. You'll get a lot more hookups with it. As far as the reel I use a low gear ratio reel for crankbaits. I prefer that because I can pull them through the water all day long and not get tired, and it seems to present the bait better in most situations. Line is a preference thing. I use monofilament most of the time for crankbait fishing. It has a little more give. I use a 10 to 15 pound line. Berkeley Big Game is what I use. It's a good budget line, so I go with that. Alright, let's break it down. For the sake of this video, we're going to call it tip, stop, turn. 3-step process. Step 1's the tip. Now the tip is referring to the end of your rod. When a fish hits that crankbait, you're going to see that rod drop a little, you're going to see that rod raise a little, or you're going to feel that fish get heavy on that rod. Take a look here in slow motion and watch this rod drop just the slightest little bit. See that? Once you feel that, you're going to move directly to step 2, which is stop. Now what stop is referring to is your reeling hand. When you feel that rod tip move, you pause that reeling hand, you stop it. Now you see right here, my hand stops moving. This just gives that fish a split second longer to get that bait in his mouth before you set the hooks. Now the turn, and that's the hook set. This is pretty important right here. You're going to pivot your hips and lean into that fish. You're not trying to drag him to the boat, you're just trying to keep pressure on that line and keep your rod tip low. The first thing that fish is going to want to do when he feels those hooks is jump up out of the water. Keeping that rod tip low will help you keep that fish down and keep those hooks pinned. Now it's crucial to have pressure on that line without pulling too hard. You want to have that rod tip bent the whole time you have this fish hooked. In my opinion, it's best to kind of let the fish go where he wants to, not try to pull him to the boat, because a lot of times that's when they want to come up out of the water. So you watch me take this fish around the boat and get his momentum working to my advantage. Now this is not a really big fish, so I was able to work this fish around the boat, and you can see when I feel like the time is right, I go ahead and flip him up into the boat. Now this is not going to work for a bigger fish. If you need to net a fish, you're going to need to wear them out a lot longer than this, so just be patient with them and let them wear themselves out, and they're a whole lot easier to get on the boat. One thing I want you to notice is where this fish is hooked. He's bit on to the front trebles on that crankbait, and that's where you want a fish to bite. And the way you get them to bite there is you give them a little more time to get that bait in their mouth. Notice this fish has got that front hook hooked through the top lip and through the side of his mouth. So you've got him pinned pretty good there. The bottom hook, if you'll notice, is also hooked in his jaw. This fish was not getting loose. Now I'm not saying this is a foolproof plan to get these crankbait fish in the boat, but this is something that's really helped me catch a lot more fish. Anyone who tells you they're catching every crankbait fish they hook is lying to you. It's as simple as that. Try this out, See if it helps you get some more fish in the boat. I hope it does. If you got anything out of this video, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, go fish.